Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Our guest today, Laura Huaman. Laura, it's great to have you on. I really appreciate you being here. And can you tell us, first of all, where you're calling in from and what you do for a living with KUYU?
Yeah, so I am based in Miami. I just moved here a few months ago, actually. I moved from London, and I am the founder and CEO of KUYU. And KUYU means happy water in Peruvian Quechua. And KUYU is here on a mission to help everyone connect to nature by leveraging and harnessing the power of Peruvian superfoods via very carefully designed, nutrient-rich Peruvian elixirs.
That's amazing. I love that. And obviously, being in the UK and then obviously being here in the US and Miami now, what did you kind of notice out there in the market with more typical products that are already out there that you found was maybe lacking, or what are you trying to do a little bit better or differently with this brand?
100%. So, I've always believe that food is the basis of our health, okay? We are really what we eat. And food has the power not just to prevent disease, but also to heal, and also to keep us in optimal health. So for me, the quality of your foods is incredibly, incredibly important. So specifically what I've noticed in the industry is that a lot of these good for you products are trying to do good, right? And they have a lot of the good buzzwords, whether they are mushroom blends or this or that. But something that I've noticed is that they are not really evidence-based, in the sense that a lot of these products might really not have the right quantities that you need in order for these different ingredients to be efficacious in your body. Just to give you an idea, we know that, for example, turmeric is great for the immune system, but did you know that or research shows that you need at least 4 grams of turmeric and needs to be added with pepper, for example, to increase bioavailability, etc. But to shorten the answer to your question, something that I've seen in the market that's missing is really this fusion of evidence-based with the power of foods. So what I'm doing now with KUYU is really bring this magical world of Peruvian superfoods, but with an evidence-based lens, with a scientific rigor, to make sure that your body is really absorbing the nutrients to its maximum, and that you get the best, most premium quality ingredients, and in a way really leveraging all the wisdom of my ancestors from Peru and bring it to you via deliciously crafted elixirs that are good for your health, but are also going to be great for the environment and great for the communities that are producing these beautiful and amazingly delicious ingredients.
It's so fascinating, and I love what you're doing, and that for that reason, because I think people are kind of starting to wise up now to not just like buzzwords for things that they're looking for. I think people are starting to realize what really good ingredients looks like. And I think we went from this stage almost from like just really traditional stuff, not really thinking about what goes into it or where it comes from, to then we went to like the trendy buzzword kind of field for a while. And I think just now, I think this product is kind of coming to at a perfect time for this reason, at least in my experience in the US market. I think people really are starting to like educate themselves on not that just like, okay, this has this ingredient is good, but like you said, like the certain amounts that you need, the other ingredients that act as activators within your body to make those ingredients do what they're supposed to do with their unique benefits. So I think it's really important. And obviously, with a product like this, maybe somebody who is like not super knowledgeable about this, there's obviously going to be a big consumer education aspect to that. What is your kind of plan, or like, what is your kind of thoughts on doing that consumer education that's so necessary to let people know, like, what you're doing and the story behind it and the mission and how the ingredients are that beneficial?
Well, yeah, 100%. But I do have to say, so I'm going to tell you my product, the launching, or for the brand, launching products are rooted on cacao, on this magical elixir of cacao. I don't know if you can really see it here, but it is delicious, delicious cacao elixir. what I have found is actually that cacao is becoming more and more popular for many reasons. One, for as a coffee replacement, as a mid-afternoon pick-me-up, but also depending on how you make your cacao, it can also be a delicious, healthy treat without the guilt. And that's one of the things that I'm focusing on. So I think there's already some awareness about these better for you nutritious products and like cacao. But there are other Peruvian ingredients that I'm bringing to market that I've hoped to educate people about. For example, maca powder is one of my main ingredients. And I'm super excited about it because it's really what gave all the energy to these warrior Incas in my country, like maca root gives you so much energy, and people in the fitness industry are already drinking it or putting in their smoothies to give you energy. But hey, I want to bring this to the rest of the population so that, instead of having to get an energy drink, you get this from the root. And so this is also what is beautiful about what I am doing with KUYU, is that for me, one of my main pillars is to be as minimally processed as I can. Okay. So all of my products are completely sugar-free, no fillers, no preservatives, no sweeteners, nothing. Okay, it's as close to the whole food as it gets, because for me, the whole food is the most important and is the most vital. And I tell you all of this because, for example, the maca that we're using is gelatinized maca, which has a greater bioavailability. So your body absorbs it better. But also what does this mean is that it's grounded. It's grounded. It's minimally processed. So it's like you're eating the roots, and another super ingredient that we're bringing to market that I actually not a lot of people don't know. Well, maybe some of the folks who go to Erewhon do, because Erewhon has some smoothies with lucuma. And so lucuma is delicious fruit from Peru that is full of antioxidants. Actually, one serving of lucuma has more antioxidants than a serving of blackberries. Not a lot of people know this. So it just tastes delicious. So these will be, for example, some of the foods that I'm combining. So to answer your question, some of these ingredients like cacao are already known, but yes, we're going to be introducing new, maybe less well-known ingredients to the market, but I'm really excited about doing that via social media and some of the campaigns that we're going to be running grassroots.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And you'll think about social media and obviously more of like your digital presence. Is this kind of your go-to-market strategy with this line of products that you're going to be introducing? Is going to be doing like more like direct-to-consumer selling online? Obviously, if you want to be omni-channel, obviously going to look into like partnering with retailers and other things. But is your initial approach that you think going to be more of the D2C side of things?
Exactly what you're saying. So our goal is to first build awareness, direct-to-consumer online. I'm also considering doing strategic partnerships in the local Miami area with the wellness community. And I am also considering partnering with other organizations that are looking at either offering this as a benefit to their own clients or perhaps their workers. I don't know, or employees, sorry, I'm translating from Spanish, I mean. But the main focus, at least the first year, is going to be direct to consumer, 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this is actually a really interesting vertical that's been brought up, I think, just coincidentally on the podcast recently, is like selling into like corporate campuses and things. I think is a really interesting vertical to look into, especially with products like this, where, a lot of folks in those areas, especially in like, software companies, or tend to be younger, tend to be a little bit more open to these kinds of, new and like very functional foods and drinks. So I think that's a really creative angle to think about. And I've know a lot of folks who have had a lot of success in that area as well. So
actually, let me tell you, maybe this is a good opportunity to tell you a little bit about my background as well.
Yeah.
So I actually was in tech, in software world for the past 8 years or so, in Silicon Valley, also in the United Kingdom, and also helped augment the market in Latin America, etc. But yes, I was in the tech world, and there was something, we had all of, there's all of this free food available, and we had all of this coffee. but I was in sales, and a lot of other roles, it's super high intensity, a lot of stress, and you want a little like pick me up in the afternoon, but you definitely do not want an extra cup of coffee because it just gets you too anxious, perhaps, at least for me. After I cannot do more than 1.5 shots of an espresso per day. Otherwise, it's too much. And that was actually one of the reasons that I was hoping to find an alternative and that I ended up choosing this beautiful cacao concoction because it gives you energy without jitters. And if you look at what really cacao is, cacao has amazing properties like magnesium that is relaxing. It has theobromine, which gives you that energy without the jitters from the caffeine. Plus, it tastes delicious. And so one of the aspects of the brand that are a bit of a reflection of who I am is this mix between the mystical of the magic cacao with really the science. So as a bit of background, I'm a scientist by training. So I majored in human biology at Stanford. I have a master's in public health. I was a research scientist at the World Health Organization, and I've published research papers. So I am very skeptical about a lot of things. So I come to things to ventures with a very critical eye, and this is really one of the lenses that I'm bringing to the product. How do we leverage these amazing superfoods, but with the right ratios, the right quantity, so that it's efficacious. But yeah, like you said, 100%. I think we definitely need alternatives to coffee or different beverages as well.
No, for sure. And it begs the question as well, I think, is, obviously thinking about your go-to-market strategy, doing direct to consumer to start. Where do you kind of see your kind of ideal customer right now? I know you talked a little bit about obviously working in maybe corporate campuses, which like kind of denotes maybe a younger, like older Gen Z, millennial kind of age as a customer profile. But what do you kind of like think about when you think about like who you're specifically going to market to with a product like this? Like, who do you think really fits the bill, like, and benefit the most from these products?
Well, it's those individuals, at least to start with, who really understand and value the power of clean ingredients. People who are really excited about creating a wellness, continuing, or enhancing their wellness journey. So people that really prioritize their health, people that also appreciate the ecosystem of food. And what does that mean? Ecosystem of food. So ecosystem of food is not just this one ingredient, but really knowing where does my ingredient come from and what does it mean? How this ingredient has been processed and cultivated and harvested. So just to give you an example, so my cacao, I work very closely with these small farms in Peru, in the rainforest, that are handcrafting. They're creating these small batches of very premium cacao. So this is not your, mass produced cacao from West Africa that Hershey uses, but this is something that small families are making in a way that supports regenerative agriculture, for example, right? So it's doing really good for the environment as well. And we make sure that we pay above fair trade prices to these families, because really for me, KUYU is more than a business. It's not just a business. It's really a mission. It's really a way to create a beautiful ecosystem where these families and these people in Peru are also going to benefit. And they're also, creating these ingredients with so much love. So going back to who is this client, it's someone who really appreciates this journey and says, yes, I know what it means. Like, there's a difference when I eat certain foods that are harvested with love, with care. And not just that, but that are actually leveraging the right practices and cultural traditions to produce an ingredient, because it's something very different doing something very mass produced versus doing something small batch, doing what, say, the Incas were doing it in the type of fields that are designed to grow this type of crops. And then if you look at another step further of what this ecosystem is, it's also what is that environment that you enjoy it with, right? Are you just drinking your regular shake that you get from Costco on the go, or maybe, hey, you're savoring your cacao. You're taking, 4 or 5 minutes of just calm and quiet. You want to create this ritual for yourself where you maybe set an intention. I'm also really excited about ceremonial cacao. So that's something else that I'm going to bring to market is a ceremonial cacao. So you can create your own ceremonies. But regardless, having an elixir where maybe you sit with friends and you enjoy this time and you create a community. So it's really not just one food, one product. It's really everything that comes along with it. So I am excited to start sharing this with really anyone that is intrigued or interested in seeing what does this journey look like? How can I incorporate this to enhance my wellness journey, whether it's replacing my cup of coffee in the morning or having a healthy afternoon treat that tastes delicious and that I know is doing good for the planet. By the way, I need to mention that 1% of all the profits will go back to these communities.
Oh, that's
So
amazing. Yeah, I love that.
So I'm just so excited. So to answer your question, I mean, I can tell you, oh, sure, like this is my marketing PowerPoint, like description of my ideal client. But really, I just welcome anyone who is curious and who wants to enjoy this delicious elixir that's good for you and the world.
I think it's a really important perspective. Like even without a clear cut PowerPoint presentation of your ideal customer is, I think you take the perspective, which I think is really important and powerful for anybody who maybe wants to become an entrepreneur in this space, which is essentially just controlling the things that you could control, which is things that are out of your control are people who are not interested or care where their food comes from. They just want to keep doing the same things they do all day, every day, and they could care less because they just like that routine. Fine, there's no problem. But when in doing what you're doing and making sure that all the people that you work with, where you're sourcing from, is all done the right way, you will find a community, I believe, of like-minded people who are going to become your subscribers and your biggest advocates, and really create a community that way. I think that kind of organic growth is really what spawns sustainability with the brands like yours that are so mission based. So I love what you're doing in that way, and I think it's actually I just think it's a really important perspective to mention, to just think about what you can't control. What you can't control is giving an opportunity for somebody to become a part of a culture for something they're already interested in, which is sustainability and alternatives that are better for a better health journey. That's what you're looking into. And the other things you could control are your logistics and what you pay the people that you get your sourcing from, and all that people can find out from listening to you on podcasts. Surely you'll be posting things like this all over Instagram and other socials. I think that's how you really create a community and find people that are going to be your advocates and go with you on this journey, because like you say, it is bigger than just the business. There's a lot of people involved that reap the benefits when your company is successful. Your customers do because they get more products, your farmers do because they get more business from you. So I think your perspective on that is really healthy and inspiring, so I appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, yeah. And then, Laura, there's always one question I do always love to ask everybody that comes on the podcast, which in your situation, I think is a little bit different. I usually like to ask, if you could go back and start this business again, what piece of advice would you give yourself? You and your journey of getting ready to bring a line of products to the market. If you could give a piece of advice to somebody else, maybe trying to get involved in, a sustainable, kind of healthy alternative to maybe a more traditional product that's out there, what advice would you give to somebody else that's kind of getting starting out and in your stage?
I would say, look at what makes you come alive and just be seriously true to yourself. Like pick something that you're incredibly excited about, like something that you're solving a problem that you've had, or you're working on a mission that has a particular meaning to you, something that is maybe more than just numbers and ROI. And let me tell you this, I love numbers, okay? I am very much a nerd. But when it comes to choosing something you want to spend all of your time doing, I would say really see what is most meaningful to you. And, not to dive so crazy into this, but, I'm originally from Peru. My mom is from the Andes. I grew up watching my mom create concoctions in her kitchen, my grandma in the Andes and cooking in fire or in wooden stoves, and curing illnesses with herbs and plants. That's something I grew up with. And as I moved to America, I grew up in the United States and I went back to Peru. Something that had always been close to my heart was, how can we empower these populations, right? If I hadn't had the opportunities that I've had, maybe I would still be in rural Peru right now, right? Having a different life. So for me, it's always been important. How can we give back? How can we improve these communities? And I think a beautiful way of doing that is through business. And so for me, I also wanted to tie all my interests and my passions. I've always been obsessed with nutrition and health and food. And then eventually I learned that I love business, right? And I love Peru. So to answer your question, it's perhaps I would say, look at where your interests intersect and see what can come from that, and follow your instincts.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good advice because, obviously I've been talking to so many other CPG brand owners and just entrepreneurs of all kinds. I mean, one of the biggest things I hear is going back and thinking about when they got started, like a funny knee jerk reaction I get to that question always is what would you do differently? They say just keep your job, just don't do it, which obviously, they're always joking. It's like, no, I would never change anything for the world. But then followed up by, if I didn't love this so much and I didn't have this big why behind what I'm doing, I probably would have quit and went back to my job. I think the people that make it come from in a background with passion, just like you are. So I think it is a really good point. I mean, it's not always about the numbers. It's not always about, get more consultants in your first year. It's like sometimes a lot of businesses fail because people just get burnt out. And if you're doing it for the money or you're just doing it because, somebody else pitched you the idea, thought you'd be good to run the business. I don't see a lot of brands that have been very successful that have been around for 15 years that don't have that big why and that big passion behind it. So I think you're a perfect example of why that is. So I really appreciate your perspective on and everything we talked about today. And just want to give you an opportunity again, Laura, as well, just to, for anybody listening, I know you're working on kind of revamping some things. What's the best way to stay in touch with you if anybody maybe wants to potentially get in touch with you with like a business partnership, interested in maybe getting on board with what you're doing in any way? What's the best way to stay in touch with you?
Oh my goodness. Well, if this at all resonates with you, I would love to hear from you, especially if you want to be part of this journey. So please, you can check us out at www.yourkuyu.com, and your KUYU is KUYU is KUYU. You can also find us on Instagram at yourkuyu.com. Or sorry, just your KUYU. And again, KUYU means happy water. So really, we just want to make everyone happy here. So if anything about this mission resonates, let me know or contact me. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. My name is Laura Huaman, Huaman. And yeah, I look forward to hearing more from you and sharing my journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here again. And I just want to wish you the best of luck and continued success in everything you're doing. I love your passion for what you do. And really best of luck. And I really look forward to staying in touch as well.
Oh my God. Thank you. Nice to meet you and nice to see you today.
You as well. Thank you, Laura. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.